somewhat. Are you receiving me? Transmitting the reconnaissance report now on coded channel Alpha 5. The situation in the Carnival District is worse than we feared. It was always a den of degenerates, a place to indulge vices and addictions of every kind. But now the Mobians are in control. I fear it is far worse. I beg you to take action before it is too late. Morningstar, do you hear me?
The Traitor Curse update celebrates Darktide's first anniversary with a new zone. The notorious Carnival, advancing the story of the battle for Tertium and allowing players to take the fight to the Mobian invaders. In addition, we will be patching in the Veteran Keystones, adding the final touch to the talent tree. Part 1 of the Traitor Curse lands in November. Keep your eyes peeled for the next video update, introducing Part 2 in early December. Thank you for playing Darktide, and remember, the Emperor protects.
Hello everyone, and we're coming in hot off the press today because out of nowhere, Fatshark dropped that absolutely hype trailer for the upcoming content update, The Traitor's Curse, and within it is contained the very first public outing of the new Veteran Keystones. So off the bat here, I've actually playtested these, and while I can only speak about them in the context of what information has been made public by Fatshark, with the NDA and all that, there's definitely some stuff here we can postulate over in terms of the clues they've given us. Before we talk Keystones though, I'd like to cast your mind back to before patch 13 was released, and we got this dev blog on the then unreleased talent trees. Now what was interesting about this blog is that the tree we ended up getting versus the tree that was advertised in the blog was completely different. Now if you recall, the one in the blog looked like this. Now the reason I bring this up is to raise two questions with you guys. The first being that based on Fatshark's recent history, will the Keystones featured in this trailer actually release in the state they've been advertised? Or, like the talent tree in the dev blog, will they change between preview and release? And the second question I have is, what is actually going on with the talent tree featured in the dev blog? Is this something that will tie in with these new Keystones? Was it just an early model that was scrapped before patch 13? Or was the tree that was released the earlier model? There are a lot of questions here, but come next update, there's a chance that the veteran tree we end up with will be quite a different beast to the one that we have now. I'm very curious to get your thoughts on this, guys, so if you've got a theory, let me know down in the comments below. Shifting over to the Keystones, all three of these babies are chunky boys, by which I mean these guys got nodes, man. The lowest point cost Keystone is the squad leader one, which requires a 4-point investment to get all the talents, while the sharpshooter Keystone is a 5-point investment, and the commando Keystone weighs in at a whopping 6 points if you were that way inclined to take all the adjacent nodes. After watching the trailer and seeing where these three Keystones sit on the talent tree, I'm thinking to myself, man, how many fucking nodes does this tree have? If we're assuming that the bottom of the tree is the only part of the tree changed after the patch, then the way these Keystones have been integrated would bring the total number of nodes in the tree to somewhere over 100, up from the current amount of 89. If we're assuming that the other parts of the tree might change, say in the vein that was advertised in the blog post, then that number's going to be even higher. Now obviously, we won't know what we're getting until we have it, but in either of these scenarios, I do find myself feeling a bit of concern that post-patch we'll be dealing with a very big veteran tree. And while that might be a good thing in terms of build choice, it could also go the other way as well. Only time will tell on this one. Talking about the Keystones themselves now, my personal opinion is I think that they're all fun to play, and I like how each one has been designed to seemingly accommodate a weapon theme. The sharpshooter one is clearly aimed at accurate, semi-automatic weapons and will reward players who make the effort to target heads consistently, which is very evocative of the concept of a sharpshooter. Even though the tooltip doesn't list the max stacks, based on the numbers they've presented here, I'd be extremely surprised if this Keystone capped out at 3 stacks, as that would be pretty underwhelming to say the least. The squad leader one is all about putting a death mark on an enemy in order to bring it down quickly, which feels like it's really gonna shine for monster hunting and therefore accommodate big gun weapons like the bolter and the plasma. I'm slightly concerned about the duration it takes to get to maximum stacks on this Keystone, because 16 seconds is a long time to not be tagging enemies in a game which loves to vomit forth a number of high priority targets at any one time. But without seeing what this actually looks like come release and how these adjacent nodes affect the playability of the Keystone, I'll be reserving judgment until I get my hands on the live version of it. Finally, we have the Commando Keystone, and out of the box, this one feels really strong to me, even without the upgrade nodes. Just looking at the melee specialist buff, this is a super easy buff to get, requiring you to kill one enemy with your range to set it up, and it lasts for 10 seconds upon swapping to your melee. 15% attack speed and super dodges sounds amazing for a buff that you can endlessly cycle by quick swapping after shooting one enemy. Also, keep in mind that it looks like trench fire is still in the tree above it, so combined with that, it's going to potentially be 30% attack speed on veteran, as long as you have the melee specialist buff active. And that's kind of nutty. The range specialist buff, on the other hand, looks a lot more situational. Ranged attack speed can be very nice on fully automatic weapons like the Clubness 5 infantry autogun, but it'd be less good for something like the stub revolver or a shotgun. Crit chance, on the other hand, is great and works for everything. Also, as a side note, I'm pretty sure that plus crit rate listed in the tooltip here is definitely some sort of mistake, as that would be insanely overpowered. It could be a typo, or perhaps it's meant to have a decimal in it somewhere. Either way, stacking this buff via melee basically means that it's mainly going to come into play while quick swapping to shoot key targets in horde situations, which I don't hate, but it's kind of niche. It's going to be interesting to see what the upgrade nodes for this one do, as there are a lot of them, and I'm guessing having the points for all 5 will mean you're going to be sacrificing points elsewhere. Anyway, what do you guys think about these new Keystones and the veteran tree going forward? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll get a discussion going.